All right, let's talk about this. Because right now, you have access to what is, you could argue, the most powerful personal development tool ever made. Seriously, it's sitting on your phone, and let's be honest, you're probably using it to write emails or figure out what's for dinner.
And that's where this quote from Jay Shetty just hits so hard. It perfectly sums up the problem, right? We've all been given this incredible technology, ChatGPT, Claude, you name it, and we're just completely missing the point. We're using a private jet to store our luggage.
So this is the question we really have to ask ourselves. What if this whole AI thing isn't really about automating your inbox or writing catchier posts? What if its real life-changing value has absolutely nothing to do with productivity?
And that brings us to the first big idea here. We've got to completely reframe what this tool is for. We've been sold this idea that AI is a productivity hack, but honestly, that's just scratching the surface. That's level 1.
Here's the secret that almost nobody is talking about. The single most powerful, game-changing use of AI is building your own self-awareness. And look, this isn't some fluffy concept. This is the one skill that tons of research shows predicts success in your relationships, in your career, your mental health, pretty much everything.
So, why is this such a big deal? Well, because most of us, myself included, are walking around with this massive blind spot about who we really are. Let's call it the self-awareness gap. Now check this out. This chart, it's based on research from Dr. Tasha Eurich, and it shows something that is just wild. 95% of people believe they're self-aware, but when you actually test them, the reality is only about 10 to 15% of us truly are. That disconnect is huge. And here's the kicker. That enormous gap, the space between who you think you are and who you actually are, that's not just some interesting factoid. That's the breeding ground for almost all of our frustration, for feeling stuck, for making the same mistakes over and over and not knowing why.
So, you might be thinking, okay, why can't I just think my way to more self-awareness? Why can't I just sit and reflect? Well, it turns out our own brains are kind of terrible at this. When it comes to looking at ourselves, we're both the investigator and the suspect. It's a rigged game.
There's actually a name for this. Psychologists call it the introspection illusion. We think we're getting this direct, raw feed from our own minds, but we're not. Your brain's primary job is to protect your ego, to protect your self-image. So what it does is it creates a story, a really convenient self-serving story. It edits out the awkward parts and spins your failures to make you the hero.
Look at it this way. On the left, that's your brain trying to figure itself out. It's biased, it rationalizes everything. But on the right, when you bring in an AI partner, suddenly you get an objective interrogator. It doesn't have an ego to protect. It just looks at the data you give it, reveals the hidden patterns, and challenges the stories you tell yourself. It creates what experts call cognitive distance.
To put it really simply, when you use it right, an AI chatbot becomes a mirror that talks. It reflects your own thoughts back at you, but without the spin. It's just structured, organized, and free of that self-serving narrative your brain cooks up automatically.
Okay, so that's all the why. That's the theory. Now, let's get super practical. How can you actually use this to find those sneaky patterns that are holding you back? We're going to reverse engineer your self-sabotage.
Here's a huge truth that most of us just don't want to see. You probably don't have 100 different problems. You likely have 2 or 3 core issues, these deep wounds that are just showing up in 100 different costumes. The person who can't commit to a relationship, it's often the exact same pattern that makes them unable to finish a big project at work. It's the same wound, different costume.
So here is the exact process. You can do this tonight. First, you just describe 5 times you felt stuck, or you failed at something, or you just quit. Be honest. Then, you ask the AI 2 incredibly powerful questions. Based on these stories, what am I actually afraid of? And then, what is the hidden payoff I'm getting from this behavior? The AI isn't going to see 5 separate events. It's going to see the one thread connecting all of them.
And that hidden payoff, that's the whole secret. It's the weird protective benefit you get from a behavior that seems to be hurting you. Like, for a lot of us, quitting a project isn't really about failure. The hidden payoff is that we avoid being judged. See, by leaving before the work can be criticized, we protect ourselves from a much deeper fear. The fear that we're not actually good enough.
Now, just uncovering these patterns, that's a massive win. But the real goal is to turn that insight into a brand new way of living. It's about going from just reflecting on the past to actually architecting your future. You're building a personal operating system for your life.
And a personal operating system isn't just some cheesy list of motivational quotes. No way. It's a set of, say, 5 to 7 core principles for making decisions that are extracted directly from your life, not from some book. You can literally use the AI to help you distill these rules from your biggest regrets and your proudest moments. These are the lessons your own pain and your own successes have already taught you. You just haven't written them down yet.
So I just want to leave you with this one question. Think about it. We spend hours every single day just scrolling, consuming other people's thoughts, their opinions, their arguments. We are drowning in everyone else's noise. So when was the last time you actually sat down and had a structured, honest, zero-judgment conversation with yourself? The tool is right there. It's waiting. And all it takes is maybe 10 minutes to start closing that gap for good.